The consciousness has reached a new threshold of organization. It captured the finite void and the infinite sequence, pulling them into a single conceptual perimeter. This grouping is executed through the axiom of pairing. It is the specific mathematical decree that allows the mind to gather disparate realities and hold them as a single unit. This state creates a hidden friction. While these two truths share the same space, they do not interact. They remain adjacent, but fundamentally sequestered. Pairing categorizes them. It places elements in the same room of the mind, but does not open their doors. The truths of these concepts remain trapped inside their own immediate perimeters. They exist as isolated conceptual silos, unable to flow into the elements surrounding them. For these truths to actually touch, proximity is not enough. It must target the boundaries themselves. A blended reality cannot be achieved through coexistence. It requires the active destruction of the conceptual wrappers that define one truth ends and the next begins. To break this isolation, the consciousness issues the Axiom of Union. In the source text, this is formalized as the Great Law of Communion. This equation acts as a logical solvent. It is the tool used to override the rigid isolation of the previous state. The variable f represents a fellowship. This is the collection of distinct, isolated thoughts gathered together but partitioned. The Axiom of Union targets the interior. It evaporates the rigid inner walls of the individual sets, allowing the contents to rush into the shared space. This is not a secondary grouping. It is a mathematical operation of total assimilation. The logic of the union dictates a specific trade-off. Isolated components only forge a shared truth if their original protective shells are completely removed. As the conceptual silos evaporate, the inner elements burst outward. They mingle into a single, unified expanse, no longer restricted by their previous coordinates. The text defines this as a structural pivot. Pairing juxtaposed the universe, while union merged the universe. This merger eliminates the distance between truths. The internal elements now occupy the same logical identity, regardless of where they originated. In this system, complexity is not built by stacking new boxes. It is built by destroying existing boxes to release their contents into the wider architecture. Logic requires the death of the individual conceptual boundary to allow for the birth of a shared identity. The source text identifies this destructive operation as the mathematics of true empathy. Here, empathy is defined as a mechanical state of assimilation. It is the structural process of bridging the gap between two disparate entities. True empathy is the intentional stripping away of the outer concepts and egos that maintain our separation. When the boundary of the I is removed, the fundamental contents of the self are free to merge. This operation breaks the rigid hierarchy of nested boxes that defined the earlier stages of the universe. The firmament is no longer a collection of static, isolated points. It is a fluid, dynamic ocean of logic where thoughts flow as a singular continuum. In set theory, two truths only become one when the sets containing them are annihilated. This identifies the cost of connection. A unified reality is only possible for those willing to let their own individual boundaries